A leaf-through of Firebirds and Moonmen. This video is a supplement to the Of Firebirds and Moonmen YouTube photos and graphics video. It is intended to give a visual sense of pace and tempo of the material content and its distribution. An objective in writing the book was not to allow technical content to interfere with the flow of the story. This was achieved by extensive use of footnotes for technical detail and allowing that to be the reader's choice. The book itself is a designer's story from the automotive golden age and the motoramas to rockets to the moon and the space age of lunar exploration. It is thus a story of Firebirds and Moonmen. There is also a sub-story of innovation and invention, all framed within an avocation of amateur astronomy and telescope making. The Firebird 3 and lunar rovers are central to the book, yet the story is of the chances and circumstances that brought them all together. The hometown years are presented to identify elements as they might influence and develop the designer, like family, exposure and awareness to events, the impact of World War II, and being a survivor of polio. Make note also of a youth to lifetime avocation of astronomy and telescope making, a love of drawing cars in study hall, and finally, a New York State disability scholarship for the polio to study industrial design at Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, New York, enabling the career option. The big city, international people, the dynamics of the subways, exposure to museums, Ebbets Field, and Hayden Planetarium, but mostly becoming an artist in the foundation year of the curriculum. Now, for the start of becoming an industrial designer, learning graphic skills and techniques under mentors Costello and Reed, the mechanics of drawing, of plaster, brass, wood and clay, visiting professional designers, and automobile design. Drawing styles of the old masters were brought in to introduce illusions of 3D space, empathic sketching to infuse material and process sensitivities. In sculpture, the introduction of negative space turns out to be a big game changer. With the pause and a tempo, on the right, 2 studies. On a whim, a double blister concept car, and below, in my passion for astronomy, a lunar roving vehicle during a total solar eclipse. Little did I realize that the first would become the Firebird 3 and a second a precursor to my future in Santa Barbara. At the end of my junior year, "James, you're going to Detroit." I heard that from a favorite instructor. In a second surprise, before the summer was over, it became a permanent job, and I was assigned to Bob McLean's studio for the Firebird 2. The most notable observations were watching how styling professionals worked, especially the legendary Harley Earl. With completion of the Firebird 2 for the 1956 Motorama, styling moved to the GM Tech Center. For a period, I concurrently worked on Firebird 2 in Detroit and every other week visited Pratt for 2-day academic classes to graduate with on-the-job credits. The Firebird 3 is the heart of this book and is its reason for existing. It evolved from Earl's vision, and over a year and a half it went from sketches to string drawing definition to mock-up, buy-off, clay model, plaster casts, and parts fabrication. These photos in progression are the full-size space sketch mock-up that Harley Earl bought off when he said, "This will be the Firebird 3." And this is pulling a plaster model from the splashes taken off of the clay model. The Firebird 3 displays chassis and a drawing made for the Motorama film production. And then to the GM Desert Proving Grounds in Mesa, Arizona for a 35mm film production and a press review, a montage of photographs from Arizona. Its final destination was the Waldorf Astoria main ballroom in New York for the 1959 model year Motorama. Returning to civilization, we began investigating mass transportation systems under Bill Mitchell, our new styling VP. The figure on the right, the sphere-mounted crow's nest, would later become inspiration for a telescope invention. On one occasion, I was sent to join a proposal team for the JPL Lunar Soft Lander Surveyor, and on an assignment to support the group in Santa Barbara, I made studies for lunar base building. These photos are of my family gathering for my wedding in Detroit. I would subsequently submit a request for transfer to that group, and it was granted. Moving to Santa Barbara, I was assigned to work on the JPL SLRV, an unmanned lunar rover intended to certify safe landing sites for Apollo missions. We started getting good pictures from the JPL hard lander. I developed this panorama from a NASA terrain map. Our focus soon shifted to manned vehicles in support of the Apollo program that would effectively extend its mission productivity. This led to testing of lunar wheel and drive systems that eventually did go to the moon. I completed the patent of floating telescope mounting after publicly showing it at the Mecca of Amateur Astronomy and Stellophane. Not long after that, I left GM to accept a position with Sundberg Farrar Industrial Designers to work on the L1011 on their interiors. The epilogue summarizes and ties up loose ends. My next job, going to Rohr Industries for mass transit systems, moving to Rohr Marine for advanced surface effects ships, SESs, and finally into an R&D advanced design aerospace career with gas turbine engine nacelles, the latter following mergers with Goodrich and then United Technologies Aerospace Systems.